Have you ever been in a room, maybe a little smoky, small stage piano perhaps, and a performer just pouring their heart out? Or, delivering this biting monologue that feels like it's just for you?
Oh, yeah, it's a very specific kind of magic, isn't it?
Totally. A stage, a show, some music. But the actual roots, the global journey of this thing we call cabaret, well, they're actually far richer, much more surprising than most of us probably imagine.
Exactly. What often seems like a simple performance, it actually has this lineage
Mm.
stretching back centuries
Hmm.
across continents.
Right.
And it's constantly reinvented itself, adapting to reflecting, sometimes even challenging society.
And that's really our mission today. We're taking a deep dive into cabaret.
hmm
Our main source here is the comprehensive Wikipedia article on the subject. We want to look not just at what it is, but sort of why it is, how it evolved.
And what those changes tell us, right?
Yeah.
About culture, politics.
And that enduring human need for, well, intimate, sometimes subversive entertainment. Get ready for, hopefully, some real aha moments about this art form.
Definitely.
So maybe let's start by trying to establish a common understanding. What is cabaret? Because it's definitely more than just a typical show.
Right. At its heart, okay, it's theatrical entertainment. So music, song, dance, spoken word, drama,
Mm.
all that can be part of it.
But the setting is crucial, isn't it?
Absolutely key. You'll typically find it in a pub, maybe a casino, hotel, restaurant, or a nightclub. Always with a stage, though.
And the audience setup is different too. They're usually seated at tables, eating or drinking, not up dancing.
Exactly. Creates a totally different dynamic than, say, a concert hall.
Right. And you nearly always have a master of ceremonies, an MC.
Yeah, the MC is vital. Guides the evening, introduces acts, often adds their own commentary.
And thinking about its origins in Europe, it was often aimed at adults, wasn't it? Sometimes with this clearly underground nature.
That intimacy really allowed for that underground feel to flourish. In Europe, you see it strongly tied to satire, social commentary.
But then when it jumps the pond to the U.S.,
Yeah, it shifts. The term cabaret there starts to cover things like striptease, burlesque, drag shows,
Yeah.
or maybe just a solo singer with a pianist. It's broader, maybe.
it is broader. What do you think that tells us about the different cultural needs it was maybe filling?
That's a great question. I mean, maybe that unique combo in the audience interaction, the food and drink, the intimate setting, it just provided this flexible canvas.
Yeah, like a blank slate.
Exactly.
Mm.
For whatever a particular society was craving, whether that was political digs or just pure escapism. It's not a grand theater, is it? It's much more personal,
Right.
adaptable.
That makes sense. That direct, almost raw connection between the performer and the audience. You don't get that in bigger places.
Not in the same way, no.
Okay, so let's really get into this. The word itself, cabaret, tells quite a story.
It really does.
It actually started with Picard or Walloon words, camarade or cambray, meaning small room, way back in the 12th century.
Right. And the first time we see cabaret printed, that was in Tournai, 1275.
Wow.
Then by the 13th century, in Middle Dutch, it already meant an inexpensive inn or restaurant.
So, still humble beginnings.
Definitely. It's thought to come from an earlier form. Chambret, again, little room, or maybe Norman French chamber, tavern, which ultimately comes from late Latin camera, meaning an arched roof.
So the whole linguistic journey from little room to this global stage presence, it kind of mirrors its actual physical evolution.
It really does, perfectly.
And speaking of evolution, France was absolutely the cradle, wasn't it? Especially Paris. Late 15th century, we see the earliest forms.
And these initial French cabarets, they were different from just taverns. They served food and wine, had tablecloths.
A bit more upscale.
Yeah, and they charged by the plate, not the mug. At first, though, they weren't really about entertainment. Musicians might play sometimes, but that wasn't the main draw.
Interesting. So when did that shift?
Well, their status got quite elevated. By the end of the 16th century, they were the preferred places to dine out. And crucially, they started becoming meeting spots for writers, actors, artists. You could imagine giants like La Fontaine, Molière, Racine, all hanging out at a place called the Mouton Blanc.
That's amazing. That really foreshadows their later role, doesn't it, as cultural hubs?
Absolutely. And you see that hint of rebellion early on, too.
Yeah. How so?
Well, by 1773, there was a cabaret called Le Caveau. Became a place where poets, painters, musicians composed and sang songs. But it actually got shut down in 1816
Why?
because the songs were openly mocking the royal government.
No way. So even back then, it had that political edge.
It always had a bit of that streak, yeah.
Yeah.
And that itch just got sharper with the rise of the café concert or café chantant in the 18th century.
Okay, what were they like?
They expanded the offering.
Yeah.
Food, yes, but now definitely with music, singers, maybe magicians. The famous Café des Aveugles even had an orchestra of blind musicians,
Wow.
and they just exploded in popularity. By 1900, Paris had over 150 of these places.
But the real birth of modern cabaret, the kind we sort of picture today, that came later, right?
Yeah.
With Le Chat Noir.
Exactly. 1881, Montmartre, created by Rudolph Salis. That's widely seen as the first modern cabaret.
What was its key innovation? What made it different?
It deliberately combined the music and entertainment with explicit political commentary, biting satire. That was the core.
And the atmosphere.
Oh, totally unique. Yeah. Salas cultivated this incredibly eclectic mix. The description is fantastic. A mixture of writers and painters, of journalists and students, of employees and high livers, as well as models, prostitutes, and true grand dames searching for exotic experiences.
Quite the crowd.
Right. And Salas himself, the host, he'd open every show with monologues, just roasting the wealthy, ridiculing the government, joking about the news. He wasn't just entertaining, he was provoking.
And having someone like Eric Satie on piano didn't hurt its artistic cred either.
Not at all. It cemented it as a place of both art and attitude.
So it became this social statement, a place for people who wanted to poke fun at the establishment.
Precisely. But as the 19th century closed, things started to diversify again. Some of the older, more traditional cabarets started getting a bit of a less classy reputation.
Yeah, I saw that quote from a critic in 1897.
Right, the one about verses which, for the most part, are worth nothing. Ouch.
Yeah. So did that open the door for new kinds of venues?
It really did. You started seeing specialization. Places like the Boîte Furzy just focus on current events, politics, satire. Others went purely theatrical.
And some pushed the boundaries even more.
Oh, yeah. You got the macabre, the erotic, like the Cabaret de la Fin du Monde. Servers dressed as gods presenting these risque living tableaus.
Wow. So real niche marketing starting there.
Definitely. Though a few of the old-style artistic places survived, like Lapinagel, still attracting poets like Apollinaire.
Now, while all this was happening with traditional cabaret, something else was arriving from London, right? The music hall.
Exactly. Landed in Paris around 1862. And these offered much more lavish productions, big spectacles.
And there was some pushback from traditional theaters.
Oh yeah, big time. They actually tried to get laws passed to stop music hall performers from wearing costumes or dancing. They were scared of the competition.
But it didn't work.
Nope. The public loved the music halls, the law got repealed, and the way was cleared for these huge shows.
And that led to some iconic places.
Absolutely. Joseph Ohler's Moulin Rouge, 1889, world famous. The Red Windmill, the Can-Can.
Launched huge careers. Mistinguett, Piaf.
And immortalized by Toulouse-Lautrec's posters, of course. Ohler also opened Olympia in '93, the first place actually called a music hall.
And some were just unbelievably extravagant.
Totally. Think about the Printania in 1903. It had a music garden that could seat 12,000 people.
12,000?
2 dinner shows a day, 23 different acts, including lions, bears, elephants.
That's insane. It sounds like this constant race to be more spectacular.
It really was. And in the 20th century, competition from movies pushed them even further.
Right. So places like the Olympia Paris added grand staircases.
Yep. Competing directly with the Folies Bergère. And the stars got bigger. Josephine Baker at Olympia in the 20s. Mistinguett, Maurice Chevalier at the Casino de Paris.
And it continued after the war, too.
Oh, yes. Lolito opened in '46, hosting huge international names. Marlene Dietrich, Laurel, and Hardy.
Wow.
Then Crazy Horse Saloon in '51, known for its artistic striptease and magic.
So even though Paris maybe has fewer of those grand music halls today, mostly for tourists.
The more traditional cabarets, the ones with music and satire, they're still around, still thriving in their own way.
It's just fascinating, isn't it, how French cabaret kept changing. From a quiet dining spot to political satire hub to these massive spectacles.
It's just proof of its incredible adaptability.
That adaptability really is key.
Yeah.
Because if we connect this to the bigger picture, you see how this performance style, born in one country, just travels the world.
And reflects and influences totally different cultural and political landscapes.
Yeah.
It's like a cultural chameleon.
It really is. And that spirit definitely went global, taking on these distinct national flavors. Like in the Netherlands, starting around 1885.
Right, Kleinkunst.
Yeah.
Small art, often in theaters. They even have a cabaret academy in Amsterdam.
And what's the Dutch style like?
Usually a mix, stand-up comedy, some theater, music. but often with social themes, political satire.
So maintaining that critical edge.
Very much so. Think of their big three mid-century. Sonneveld, Cannes, Hermans. And they have that amazing New Year's Eve tradition, the Agers Conference.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about that.
It's a broadcast where a comedian basically reviews the whole past year, pokes fun at events, politicians. It's a huge national thing, a shared moment of humor and reflection.
That sounds brilliant. Now, shifting to Germany, Cabaret, that really found its voice during the Weimar era, didn't it? Mid-1920s.
It absolutely did. It started developing earlier, around 1901, with places like Uberbrettel. But Weimar Cabaret became legendary for its biting political satire, that distinct gallows humor.
Given the times, that makes sense. How did it manage to be a center for underground movements, even opposing the Nazis?
Well, again, that intimate setting, combined with its history of social commentary, it was just a natural space for dissent.
Right.
And that gallows humor, it was a way to cope, to mock the absurdity and the darkness of their political reality. It allowed for critique that was maybe impossible elsewhere, a vital space for resistance.
Makes perfect sense. Okay, let's jump to Poland. Cabaret there, starting around 1905. Still hugely popular today, right? Often on TV.
Hugely popular, usually comedy troupes doing sketches, monologues, songs, and definitely political satire, often using clever double meanings to get around censors.
Smart. And its roots go back to a literary cabaret.
Yeah, Zieloni Belonik in Krakow, founded by poets and artists. And interestingly, there were also Yiddish-language cabarets, Kleinkunst, in Poland between the wars.
And a key difference in Poland, especially after the war, is that it's more about the touring troupe than a specific venue.
Exactly. Which suggests maybe a focus on the performers themselves, carrying that spirit with them, probably crucial for spreading commentary, especially under difficult regimes.
Right. Now, when Cabaret hit the U.S., imported by Jesse Louis Lasky in 1911, it really took a different path, didn't it? Why do you think it diverged so much, especially with jazz influencing it?
It seems to be about different cultural priorities, maybe.
Yeah.
In Chicago, for example, the focus really became the larger band ensembles, especially during Prohibition and the speakeasies.
Ah, the music, the energy.
Exactly, the forbidden thrill. New York Cabaret, though, it never really developed that strong tradition of overt social commentary like in Europe.
More about the performers.
Yeah, when it featured jazz, it tended to spotlight these amazing vocalists. Nina Simone, Bette Midler, Eartha Kitt, Peggy Lee. It was more about star power, musical performance. Julius Monk's reviews in the 50s and 60s really set that standard.
So, less overtly political, more pure entertainment focused. It did decline a bit in the 60s, right, with rock concerts and TV variety shows taking over.
Yeah, it faced challenges. But I kind of found a niche, survived in those Las Vegas-style dinner shows.
But encouragingly, there's been a revival late 20th, early 21st century.
Definitely. Especially in cities like New Orleans, Chicago, Seattle. New generations are finding it again, reinterpreting the old forms, original music, burlesque, even political satire creeping back in.
And New York City even has the Bistro Awards since '85, so it seems like its adaptable core is helping it bounce back.
It really seems that way. And it wasn't just the U.S. adapting it either. Over in the U.K., you had the Cabaret Theatre Club open in London in 1912.
Right, later called the Cave of the Golden Calf, opened by Frida Strindberg.
That's the one. Modeled on Vienna's Cabaret Fledermaus. She intended it as this avant-garde hub for bohemians, fancy decorations by artists like Jacob Epstein.
Very artsy, but didn't last long in that form.
No, it quickly turned into more of a playground for high society before going bankrupt. Avant-garde doesn't always pay the bills, I guess.
True. But even in its short life, it introduced cabaret to London, set a model for nightclubs, and there was some scandal.
Oh yeah, a famous police visit about its entry system. Yeah. Apparently, a certain duke had to make a quick exit via the kitchen lift.
Classic. Perfectly cabaret.
Totally. And the global reach just keeps going. Further afield, think about Iran. Had a really vibrant cabaret scene until '79.
Really? Where?
Lal-Azhar Street in Tehran was the main center. Famous Persian cabarets were active there, launching lots of local artists until the revolution. Sometimes they just call it home of dance or a dancing place.
Fascinating. And Sweden, too. An underground scene.
Yeah. Stockholm had the Fattighuskabaren, the Poorhouse Cabaret, ran for 10 years, 74 to 84, launched future celebrities. It's a recurring theme, isn't it? Cabaret is a launch pad.
It really is. And even super recently, Serbia got its first dedicated cabaret club, Lafayette. in Belgrade in 2019, despite having a rich nightlife already.
Just shows the form keeps finding new homes, new audiences.
It really does. And connecting that back to the bigger picture, it just vividly shows how this performance style, born in one place, travels, adapts, reflects totally unique cultures.
It's not just copied, it's fundamentally reimagined each time.
Which brings us nicely to some of the most iconic spaces and the legendary faces that really embody that spirit across time and place. This is where you really see the sheer breadth.
Absolutely. I mean, look at the venues. They span the globe, wildly different eras and styles. You've got the historic glamour of the Moulin Rouge in Paris.
And the artistic striptease of Crazy Horse.
Then in New York, the sophistication of Café Carlyle or Feinstein's 54 Below, carrying on that more refined tradition.
But then, okay, here's a curveball from the list. Cabaret rooms at various Chuck E. Cheese's Pizza Time theaters.
Aha! Yeah, that's quite a jump, isn't it?
It's a universe away from the avant-garde daddyism of Cabaret Voltaire in Zurich, or the brand new Lafayette in Belgrade. What does it mean that Cabaret can stretch to include Chuck E. Cheese?
I think it speaks to the fundamental versatility of the form itself.
Yeah.
That core idea, intimate stage, often food and drink, direct engagement with the performer. The content might change dramatically from data poetry to animatronic mice, but the essence of that connection, that framework, it somehow remains.
And the artists who have defined these spaces, just legendary icons like Josephine Baker, Marlene Dietrich.
Eartha Kitt, Edith Piaf, their names are just synonymous with cabaret, aren't they?
Completely. They used that intimate setting, didn't they, to forge these incredibly deep connections, whether through raw emotion or sharp wit or just dazzling presence.
They absolutely did. What stands out to you looking back at this huge variety of places and talents over the centuries?
It really hammers home that cabaret isn't just one specific genre. It's almost a framework for performance.
That's a good way to put
A
it.
framework you can fill with almost anything. Political commentary, family fun, high art, pure spectacle. It's just astonishing how resilient and universal that basic framework has proven to be.
It really highlights how adaptable, how universally appealing those core elements are. Intimacy, directness, performance, regardless of the cultural context or the specific artistic flavor.
So, reflecting on our journey then, we've gone from a literal small room in medieval France.
All the way to the dazzling stages of Paris, New York, Tehran, Belgrade, everywhere.
Discovering how cabaret just constantly reinvented itself. It's been this blend of entertainment, sure, but also wit, satire, and sometimes really profound social commentary.
It's definitely an art form that's always responded to its time.
Yeah.
Acting is both a mirror reflecting society and often a daring challenger pushing against its norms.
Yeah. It feels like its enduring power lies in that combination, doesn't it? That intimate yet somehow explosive nature. It's performance art that really demands you be present. It allows for that direct engagement, and it often, maybe usually, dares to speak uncomfortable truths.
Right, so here's a final thought then. In our current age, totally saturated with digital experiences, cranes everywhere,
Yeah.
does that raw, immediate, often subversive spirit of cabaret, does it maybe hold a deeper appeal now? Perhaps even more vital today than ever before?